I can't believe they reissued Fortress Maximus. This is so awesome. He's finally easy to get. He's complete and shiny new and tiny. Was he always this size when I was a kid? For those of us who can't afford an Encore Fortress Maximus or already have the vintage one, let me show you an alternative, Kabaya's DX Fortress Maximus model kit. Since the city you see here is actually made of 3 kits combined, I'll briefly take you through each separately, as each kit was given a base mode of sorts to function independently. First up is the main piece, the Central Tower, which is basically just the centerpiece of Fort Max's city mode. To interact with it, you get a little Windcharger. Isn't it cute? The surprising thing is he fully transforms, sliding arms and all, making a truly tiny transformer in the process. He's even smaller than the world's smallest transformers. Which suddenly sounds like a goofy name. Regardless, he's actually not a bad scale to them. As a bonus, it's a surprisingly good one. Anyway, Kabaya made sure to include Max's central ramp gimmick, which now also lets you hinge the main tower back to reveal it and make it easy to use at a small size. Function-wise, surprisingly effective. I will admit, for a candy toy, this kind of amazes me. Second is this, communication tower? It's a bit abstract, what with the giant sword blade sticking out of it. At least this one does look like a tower base of some kind. With this one, you get Powerglide. Sadly, he doesn't do as well as Windcharger, needing to part form the arms, and the legs don't do anything. Still, it's a nice little representation of him. Out of a candy kit, I don't expect much. For this tower, they actually have you build a spring launcher, which actually doesn't work too badly. Launching a jet off a downward-facing ramp seems odd, but that way nothing breaks, right? Then there's tower number 3. What happened? This one really does lose me. I mean, who builds a driveway at the top of a tower? Best I can guess, it's a runway. I mean, that's what the gimmick seems to imply. It's geared so a knob lets you rotate it around. But if that's the idea, why didn't this one have Powerglide? Instead, it comes with Cerebros, and since he transforms into a head, there's not much interaction to go for here. Unless this is a diving board. Like I said, they really were just trying to give each kit something to do on its own, and they were working with whatever they could do with the toy's parts. The sets are really meant to be used together, and as long as we're talking about hashed together modes, let's get the flight mode out of the way first. From here on out, please remember I've already reviewed Brave Maximus, so I might be repeating myself here. That said, some might not have seen that video, so let the repetition begin. Here Fort Max makes for a very stretched out spaceship with plenty of forward weaponry. Looks like he can deliver a huge hit, though I question the logic of a bridge sitting that high up. Seems like an easy target. Naturally, the engineering is simplified here. The bridge is just a sticker now rather than an actual canopy. But in the engineering, there's no cheating present in this mode, which is nice to see. It works well so far. The guns for this mode even still work, with the leg cannons able to move up and down and the side guns able to flip out. My only issue is the mode itself. It's one of those third modes that doesn't seem intentional, more like something the designers cooked up to add more play value to the figure. The only thing making it a spaceship is that canopy at the top of the tower, and the only extra transformation elements to this mode are the feet that fold down. I know some compare the look of this mode to White Base from Gundam, but I don't see that as intentional. I think any robot laying down sprawled out like a stretching cat would look like White Base. Transforming him is pretty easy, this being a G1 design and all. Much to my approval, there's no part forming involved in transforming it. The engineering works just like the large version, just without the need to wrestle it to change modes. City mode is where the novelty of this set finally hits you. Seeing what is normally a huge playset shrunken down to desk size is almost surreal. For those that remember Rebirth, it looks like the city mode Cerebros transforms into when Spike isn't attached. Got the scale for it at least. Since Max was a G1 toy, most of his details were from stickers, and this is the best mode to see most of them. The ramps are done very nicely, the stickers look just about perfect here. You never see this kind of cartoonish tech detail anymore, so I like when they get to break it out again. There's also one on the front for the Autobot logo, which is actually above where it's supposed to go. Not sure why they changed it up, though it's not a big deal. Gimmick-wise, from the small base modes, the launcher still works. Tower can even still hinge back, though you don't have anything to plug into the rotating thing gimmick anymore. From the original Maximus, a few extras are included. The extra room on the side is still here, but now has a ramp instead of stairs. On the other side, the steps leading to the prison cell are here, but the prison cell isn't. Not the door anyway, so not much of a cell. Cerebros can also still combine with the city for its communication room. Naturally, no radar or elevator gimmicks here, not even the pass-through in the middle, though they did mold in the crank for the elevator. Kinda like the thought of that. I think the simplification that gets to me most is here, where this block is supposed to fold out into an extra platform and, for lack of better term, form a pair of garages. For all the little inclusions and hinged parts to this toy, kinda surprised it doesn't do that one. Still, simplification is what I expect out of a candy toy model like this, even if it is bigger than normal. I'm surprised this much is still intact considering how shrunken it is. Going to robot mode, there's a couple other shortcuts you'll notice. First, the main ramp only folds in once, not twice, and Cerebros transforms like a normal headmaster now. Besides that though, it's still pretty much spot on, and is quite smooth to transform, which helps when the toy doesn't have ratchet joints the size of a tuna can. But now I guess with all the talk of shrinking him down, you want a size comparison, right? Well, there you go. Yeah, that much smaller. He currently stands 7 inches tall, about a smallish Voyager, if a little less bulky. In this mode, the plastic colors do most of the deco work, with only a few stickers showing here and there. Where the base mode tried to incorporate the classic toys stickers, this mode seems to opt for an anime look. You can tell that in the head, where the horns are far more pronounced and stickered solid blue. It's enough to get the job done, but I'm sure a customizer could do amazing things to this kit. Construction-wise, there's the usual candy model shortcuts, some hollowed parts here and there, but nothing that really affects the structure of the toy. Compared to the popular Mini-Max knockoff, the parts are solid and the joints are all firm. Speaking of, the figure retains all of the articulation from the original Fort Max. Vertical shoulders, 90-degree elbows, wrist rotation, and universal hips. Actually, since there's no ratchet joints in any of them, there's actually a little more range of motion in this version. Would have been nice if they added a bit more to the articulation like they did with Super Jinrai, but on a candy kit, I'll take what I can get. The chest door still opens too, though the floor inside isn't flat and it's a tiny compartment, too small for Windcharger or Powerglide. It's more just a token inclusion, an appreciated one though. Of course, for added play value, he comes with both of his main guns that have been tower decorations so far. They're snug in his hands and look like the G1 toys well enough. But the main piece, of course, is the Master Sword that went missing from his US release of the original. Don't know why. I found this one in the Lost Woods. Not a big deal. As I own the US version of the vintage G1 Max, this piece is part of the novelty to the set, and I admit I'm kinda glad this is my first experience with a sword. Somehow the idea of a huge toy with an equally huge sword seems kinda silly, but that's just me. Finally, as I said before, the weapons all still flip out, and in robot mode that's even more true. Legs and side guns still work, plus we get the main cannons that fold out and the covers to his forearm guns. Okay, they cheaped out there. I think those could have been included, but at least the panels work, more than some Mini-Maxes do. No fist guns on this one, not surprised for the size, but he still comes out looking heavily armed. I'm glad this was included. It's just not Fortress Maximus without enough weapons to level a small nation. I mentioned a lot of negatives to this set and wrote them off as what I expect from a candy toy model, but it's not as bad as it sounds. I expect those things when I buy one. You've seen my past Kabaya reviews. That's pretty much the standard. Here, they labeled it DX for a reason. Not only is it far bigger than their previous sets, but the build just feels sturdier. So for all those faults I expected, I actually expected more, and was very surprised when I didn't find those. One bit of advice I'll give, these come in a box of 5 sets, so have a friend ready who will buy the extras, or be ready to eBay for the last one to give you a full set to sell off. Either way, it shouldn't be hard to recoup the cost on this one. If you can't afford the new Encore of the original, or if you've always wanted a Tiny Fort Max for the novelty without buying overpriced knockoffs, this is by far your best bet. Okay, Kabaya, I'm ready for Scorponok now. Seriously, there's still only 2 Kabaya cons. My toys need more things to punch.